P.S. I put a copy of your closing statement in here in the closing section because your accountant's going to ask for a copy of that for your taxes next year. P.S. I just eliminated the only contact that they would probably make with their previous agent, and I put them on my automatic follow-up program, which they're numerously available through the internet. And 100% of the time over the last 10 years, those people have relisted, and they've relisted with me. So you're going to tell me that all these REO assets that you're selling to have a representative of your office to go to that house and to say, hey, I'm representative of such and such a company with exit, and those companies go on an automatic follow-up because there will be no drop-off from the REO business at that point. That's going to keep everybody going as those listings come in because, I mean, in Florida, we're going to be dealing with this REO nightmare for probably another 5 years. So one way or the other, to get your hands involved with that, I think would be a very good thing to add to anybody's portfolio. What I love about the business is you have an endless opportunity to make as much money as you want. The sky's the limit. I mean, I remember when I was a young agent with ERA, I was hell-bent on ranking as high as I could. I climbed that ladder. You know, each step that I made, I remember there were a couple of years there, we made it into the top 10, and I was really, really motivated to be #1 in the world. I was actually really leaning on coming to exit a little bit sooner, but I knew that in 2008, I was pretty close to the top. And, you know, we made it. They finally announced the #1, everything, who was #1. I got all the way to the top of that ladder with ERA, and I looked around, and my ladder was on the wrong building. And I had to climb back down and put it on the exit building because where we are today, I think is the future of the industry. So the hard work will pay off in any badge, but it's the extras that you could get. You know, I could leave exit today and I could probably go do, I'd say last year I probably would have done maybe half of what I did because 50% of what I did was a direct result of being with Exit Realty and utilizing the tools. Because the biggest thing that I can think of, the biggest recipe for disaster is doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. And when I asked for a show of hands on who's using Promo Shop and who's using e-listings, probably a third of the people in this room raised their hand. You know, what's your excuse for not having that? I don't think those two products together would cost an agent $25 a month to utilize the products. To go on a listing presentation and to be able to show a brochure, to be able to have a flyer available to those people, for them to be able to print one online. Everybody's seen Jeff Lobb's video, the digital marketing plan. That's basically just one of the two. We're just talking about e-listings. You're going to tell me that you make that presentation to a seller, to a buy owner, to an expired, and they're not going to list with you? What's your excuse for not having that? Because I just copied Jeff Lobb. Yeah, I just copied the technology that I was unaware of that I implemented in, and if I would have had that technology available to me in 2005 or through 2008, I would have probably doubled or tripled my volume. So the tools are here. If you want to copy them, that's all I did was I copied something that was presented to me by somebody who was more successful than I was, and I've implemented them in, and you'll get the result. I really don't think there's that much difference between a top producing real estate agent and an agent that maybe is a year into the business. I think if you had $1 million listing in your city and the property was valued at $1 million and you had it listed at $950,000 and you had a lockbox and I had a lockbox, you made it easy to show, I made it easy to show, you implemented the tools, all things being exactly equal. You use Promo Shop, I use Promo Shop. You have the color flyers, I have the color flyers. You made it easy to show, I made it easy to show. And I get a qualified doctor that comes into town and he makes an offer of $925,000 on a $950,000 listing for cash. Who in this room couldn't put that deal together? Who could not put that deal together? The whole aspect of this business that I think is overlooked is that it's our job. It's a people business. It's still a people business. It's our job to make these people want to do business with you. It's our job to make them feel like we're more qualified. How do you become more qualified? If you actually have the tools available to you that make you more qualified. And you notice I said all things being equal, because when I go on listing presentations with people and I say, do you have this? Did the other agent offer this? No, they didn't, because things are not equal, because these products are Exit Realty products. These are for Exit Realty only. And unless you interviewed another Exit Realty agent, then these things weren't offered to you. You don't have this product called e-listings. I'm sure there's other variations of it, but the odds are that agent's not presenting them to the customer. There's a lot of ways to get to the top of this business. I haven't found one any cleaner than to just working hard. I know that I did work for a period of time for a company in 1994, and I've never seen anybody get to the top faster than this kid that was in our office. And I was a little young gun there back in the old days, and I was doing very well, and I was the young star of the office until this other kid came on board. And they actually started this kid out in the mail room. And he was like a guy that would bring the mail to everybody. He'd empty the garbage cans, and that's what this kid did in the office. He did that job for about a week, and I came in the following Monday, and he was answering the phones, and he was taking messages for the agents. And probably 2 weeks after that, he was the administrative assistant to the owner of the company. And he had that job for about 30 days, and he was moving up the ladder so fast, it was just unbelievable. I'm like, this kid's just unbelievable. And we had an office meeting, and the owner of the company said, I am retiring from the real estate business, and I'm going to have Scott. He's done such a great job. He's just worked his way up the ladder so fast. He's been such a hard worker. He's really impressed me. And Scott, after maybe 60 days working for our company, is the new broker of the company. He's the new guy. He's running the whole company. And he said, Scott, what do you have to say about that? And he said, well, Dad, it's just fantastic. The point being that we all know that there are people in the business, and you see these family-owned companies where people actually go, and there's one in Tampa. My main competitor is actually a great guy. His mom, it's a family legacy, and he really is a fantastic agent. And you're dealing with these people that are really experts in their crafts, and it's been passed on from generation to generation. And you really need to combat that. And I think to be aggressive with it, when somebody is aggressive, I think a lot of us as real estate agents, we see somebody that's in an area that maybe is, they're dominating a particular area. And everybody knows I farm. I love to farm. And that's my forte is the big farming. And I'll go into an area and I'll see people that are dominating an area. And you've got an agent, to me, that's just, it seems like he has every listing in the neighborhood. Well, one thing that I've learned is that that's a great neighborhood to farm, because I know that half the people in that neighborhood don't want to use that person that's dominating just because they are dominating. It's human nature. They're looking for another option. They want to be smarter than their neighbor. I didn't use that guy. I'm smarter than everybody in the neighborhood. For whatever reason, these people do it. But I know that a lot of agents see that type of domination, and they figure, hey, I'm not going to go in there. And one of my biggest farm areas that I'm in right now, I've never, in 15 years of farming this neighborhood, I've never been able to take over the #1 spot. And between the two of us, me and the gentleman that is the #1 guy and has been #1 for probably going on 15 years in a row, there's been years where I've tied him, where I've been 1 or 2 sales behind him, but I don't think there's been a year where we've made less than $200,000 out of that one particular neighborhood. Now, recently, since I've gone with Exit and I've had a lot of arsenal of tools through Promo Shop, I've had a lot of different tools where I could go at these people. I've noticed that he's dropped off of his other farm areas and he's concentrated on this one farm area, which has enabled me to go into some of these other areas now and focus on being #1 in these. So now I'm #1 in all the surrounding areas, and he's still trying to, inundate this neighborhood with mail-outs once a week because he's starting to see that it could crumble. Well, I'm perfectly content being #2 in that area and #1 in 5 other areas. So it's important to not lose focus of what you're in it for, and it's not important to me to be #1 in that area like it once was, because I want to I want to be as diversified as I can. I want to be in as many communities as I can, because sooner or later we're going to come out of this REO mess. And if you're farming today, you're going to be a king. This is the second time I've been through one of these disasters. We went through the savings and loan scandals in the early 90s. It was the same thing with the REOs and the people that prepare for the rebound. If you're marketing yourself now and you're putting a little bit of money, that's why they call it farming, because you're planting the seeds. And every time you send out a direct mail marketing piece, it's still The farming and actually meeting the people, to me, are still the greatest ways to generate business. And I don't think that's ever going to change no matter how much technology you put in place. We dress it up. We can further enhance our visibility or so with the communities. But it's important that we don't lose focus. I mean, how many people do we know that golf? And you see these guys golfing all the time, and they're coming in with all these deals. Golfing is I don't golf, but I know that Jason, my assistant, golfs, and he certainly brings in a lot of business based on his golfing. So I never complain when he's going to golf. I should have reviewed these notes before I came up on stage. You know, one of the things as we go through our careers, and every person in here sees somebody in their office that's doing something that there's a top producer in every office. And a lot of times you'll see that same person over and over and over again continues to be the top producer in the office. And I mentioned earlier that I copy everybody. And to me, when you go and you're looking at somebody, there's a reason and why are we not paying attention? We're not paying attention to what these people are doing, and we're making excuses. To me, there's people that make excuses as to why somebody's being successful, and there's people that do something about it. And I remember when the best piece of advice that I ever got from a broker, probably in the mid-90s, I went to work for this big top 50 ERA office, and the broker, great guy at the time, there was another agent there that they didn't basically take newer agents. So although I was doing well at another ERA office, they brought me in, and he said, listen, the first time that I hear you running your mouth or that you're talking or that you're bothering people, you're out of here. So I learned to shut my mouth and listen to what every top producer in Tampa at the time worked at that company. And I listened, and at nighttime I'd go, if somebody was farming, and they used to do them on the black and white printers, they would just kick off these black and white copies, and I'd go in the garbage can, and I'd look at them, and I'd see what they were sending out. And that's when I learned how to farm. I'm going to copy what this person's doing. This girl was a big producer, so she was sending out direct mail pieces, and I'd literally go through the garbage can to see at nighttime, when nobody was there, to see what these people were doing and what was in the garbage can. There's stuff to be copied from any office. If there's anybody in your office that's doing any type of work that you could copy or that they're willing to share with you, and I found that with Exit, people do share. People are more apt to share their information and their marketing ideas here than within. That's what I love about coming to these conventions, is you come to these conventions, whether it be the national convention, and if you're not going to the national convention with Exit, I'm going to tell you, you're really missing something. You're really missing an opportunity to increase your bottom line. People are willing to share their ideas. People are willing to tell you exactly what they're doing to become successful. It gets to a point, if you immerse yourself in this information and you decide, hey, the market's pretty bad in Tampa, I need to make more money. All you do is you just step it up a little bit and you start implementing some of these things. So I think everybody here, we have the tools, we have the company. Steve's done a phenomenal job building the company, and I just want to thank you for having me again. It's been a phenomenal ride, and hopefully it'll continue for everybody and for me as well.